I had a great time presenting at the Kitces Marketing Summit, and I had a lot to share. The unfortunate thing is that I couldn't share everything that was on the list. And one of the things that a lot of people requested was, how do I start if I'm just getting started with this creating content and I want to start growing my firm, getting more people to reach out to me? How do I do it in a easy and sustainable way? Because the stuff that I shared at the Kitces event was currently we have a lot of YouTube subscribers, we have a lot of viewers and followers or whatever on LinkedIn. Now it's hard to look at that and say, oh yeah, I could do that, or yeah, I could do that if I just work really hard. But what about going back to the start? So I'm going to share what we did in 2019 when we had zero marketing effort and when we had maybe 0 to 1 person per month reaching out to us, where now we've got 60 to 100 reaching out. But let's rewind the clock and then let me share my screen and show you what to think about and what to do. Okay, so here is how we started from zero in 2019. And it's going to be these 5 things. So, number one is we want to make a commitment to writing. That is really the key. It's not video, it's not just the story or things like that, or is really part of that. But if we can just commit to writing, that's where it all starts. And that's where great videos are created. That's where great content or blogs or text posts are. It's all the written word. So rather than starting with video, start with writing because it's faster. And by doing it and practicing, it'll help you get better at copy and keeping people engaged, which is so key. And then it also helps with sales, persuasion, client communication, and effective email writing as well, just with current clients. And also, it helped me figure out what are the core things that we actually offer to people when we're meeting with them. And apologize for all the misspellings and things here. It really points it out for you. But what we did was focus on writing. And then we ended up, as a side note, got better at all of these other things as well. So the commitment is 60 minutes per week. Tim and I told each other, we don't have a lot of time. There were a few employees at the time, but really it's on us. So let's just carve out 60 minutes per week. That was commitment number one. Number two is practicing this order of writing. And I'll scroll back up to how we find ideas just to give you an idea of how to do this. So let me go back up to finding great ideas. This is client and prospect questions. When people ask you questions, write them down. These are 2 examples of questions that people asked, and the result that they got is pretty amazing in terms of people are Googling it, people are YouTubing it. So, client questions. Also, case studies. How much do I need to retire? Or this tax scenario of this was related to sharing a holistic plan that we had created. And that's actually got, I believe, over 30,000 views now in just a few, in about a week. So case studies, plan reviews, these are big. Other ideas, how to find great content is facts and lists. So you can do that. I think the easiest, I'm going to skip this one. I think the easiest to think about is reading some of these places that we wouldn't read normally, like Kiplinger or Money Magazine or AARP. Look at those headlines. Look at what their popular articles are, and then put your own spin on it and practice very simply 3 lines of writing when you're trying to put your own spin on it. Step one is, what are you trying to teach or suggest? Step two is writing that hook to capture attention. And step three is summarizing or asking a question. So I'm thinking, again, we're focused on writing here. And what I'm thinking is, what's the main meat of the thing that you're trying to teach, right? What's the 3 points or the 1 point you want to get across in a text post? Write it out in an easy to understand way. Then go back to this hook framework. And I'll give you some ideas of how to test hooks and how to actually come up with hook ideas. And hook, again, if you haven't heard of that before, it's just what's the thing that stops the scroll as someone's going through LinkedIn? They see a few words that makes them want to stop. That's one of the most important things you need to learn how to do. And then summarize is really anything. Ask a question for engagement. That's a simple writing framework to start practicing if you're starting from zero. That's what we did. And I'll show you examples of how we did this. There's other frameworks which you could, again, you could start with this. Other ones are, a client had a question. What's the problem that that person has, right? They may say, should I be doing Roth conversions even though I'm 67 and I'm taking Social Security now? Is it still a good idea? Well, what's the real problem? Do they are they worried about the the quotes tax time bomb when they turn 73 or 75 and they've got RMDs and they're thinking about that, or they don't know what their future income is going to be. Try to figure out the problem. So it's question, problem, solution, or PAS. They've got a pain, agitate. There's some pain, there's some agitation to it, and then solve with simplicity. Again, I'll give you examples because we got to be careful with how we're solving things and how much detail we're giving, right? We don't want to go fully detailed in a lot of these catchy written posts. Last thing to think about is why, what, how writing framework. Why is this even important? Why should they be stopping and reading this? Then the facts or the science. What is it? What are you trying to explain? And then how do I do it? What's the next step or a couple steps to follow? So those are a few frameworks as well. And again, I want to fly through this to give you some ideas. And if this is interesting, let me know. I could go deeper into any of these and share some more. But here's some of those hooks I had mentioned in the Kitces Summit. The Ben's hook, big, easy, new, and safe hooks. Here's an example of a statement hook, either a shock or surprise when they click on the video. Example: this is from a year ago. In retirement planning, what makes the biggest difference is rarely this market conditions, working an extra year. What makes a big difference is this isn't even that well written, right? I kind of don't even remember, but this did well, right? It got engagement, it got people reposting, and got people looking at it. So that could be an example of kind of a surprise, like, oh, really? That's not the important stuff. Next thing is a question hook. This might be the easiest. Pose the question that the viewer wants the answer to, and think about, is it big, easy, new, and safe? Let's see the example. Could this little used retirement account be better than a Roth? That could also be shock or surprise. That's a question. Here's why some people think so. And then they click to see more. So did even better. That was from 2 years ago. And then story hook. Drop them into the middle of the story or the plan review or the case study. Here's an example from LinkedIn. Had a call with a 60-year-old client who asked if we could review her mom's tax return and investment allocation. Wow, that's not that interesting at all. They had to click that to see how we actually saw the mom could take out a lot more from her IRA because of medical expenses and convert it to Roth so that it's passed on. She wanted to pass it on to her 6-year-old daughter, but do it tax-free. So that was popular as well from a little bit ago. So that is a few ideas of hooks: statement, question, or story. Now, to give you a few examples of early content and how I used written word to then turn it into video to get more out of each one of these, here's an example. Tax planning. So let me see if I have pictures. Okay, what kind of accountant? Here's that question hook. There's 2 kinds of accountants, right? And then, so that did okay. Actually, it did really well. Then I took that same exact content and then turned it into a video. This is one of the first videos that I did on LinkedIn. So it's the same exact script. It's just duplicating the effort you've already done. Roth conversion sweet spot. So LinkedIn post. And this is kind of a story question. And then the first YouTube video I ever did is, I think this is the first one of the first ones. And really, when you watch it, it's not that well done, 3 years ago, but it's taking the same exact thing and just creating a video. But people still watch this. That's the great thing about YouTube, is it's an asset that continues to produce results way after you record it and put it up there. Last one with deducting meals. People, sometimes business owners think about that, and it did all right. Same thing, turned it into a LinkedIn video, and it did even better. So that's a summary, hopefully not too long, of what to do with zero marketing experience. That's at least what we did. And it continued to progress and get better. And we kept putting the videos on YouTube and figuring out that game. And it ended up working. I'm going to keep putting more info and more videos on specifically this sort of thing with marketing in the advisor membership. If you're not in that, join so that you can get these more private videos just on how to do this the right way. So hope that was helpful. And then I'll see you in the next video.